carried over into Shechem and laid in the sepulchre that Abraham bought for a sum of money of the sons of Amor, the father of Shechem. Now Stephen comes to another period in the history of these people. He is going to remind them of the deliverance out of Egypt. God made Moses the deliverer, and he shows that at first the children of Israel refused to follow Moses, and that Moses had trouble with them all the way. That ends that section. Now, section 17 through 22. But when time of the promise drew nigh, which God had sworn to Abraham, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt, till another king arose, which knew not Joseph. The same dwelt subtly with our kindred, and evil entreated our fathers, so that they cast out their young children, to the end they might not live. In which time Moses was born, and was exceeding fair, and nourished up in his father's house 3 months. And when he was cast out, Pharaoh's daughter took him up and nourished him for her own son. The comment which Stephen adds confirms some of the things that he said when when we were studying about Moses. If Ramses II was the Pharaoh of the oppression, Moses could have been the next Pharaoh. Pharaoh's daughter brought him up as her own son. This Pharaoh had no sons, so Moses would have been the next in the line. Verse 22. And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of Egypt, and was mighty in word and in deed. Moses was brought up in wisdom and in of the Egyptians. The wisdom of the Egyptians is not despised even in our advanced day, when we feel that we know about everything. Too often we do not give the Egyptians full credit for what they did know. They had developed mathematics, chemistry, engineering, architecture, and astronomy to a very fine point. They had developed their fields of study in a way that was really remarkable. Look at the pyramids. Look at the colors we find in the tombs, colors which have stood the test of these centuries. They understood about embalming. They had calculated the distance to the sun. My friend, they had a highly developed culture and were not an ignorant people. Moses had all the advantages of that day, being raised as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He was learned in all wisdom of the Egyptians. He was outstanding. He was not prepared to lead God's people. All the learning of the world of that day did not equip him to lead God's people. All the wisdom that men have today is not enough for them to understand the Word of God. It is too difficult. Why? Because the natural man cannot receive the things of the Spirit of God. These things are foolishness to him, and he cannot know them, because they are spiritually discerned. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 14. Although Moses was learned in the wisdom of his day, he was not ready to deliver God's people. So after 40 years of learning in Egypt, God put him out in the desert. There, God gave him his BD degree, his backside of the desert degree, and prepared him to become the deliverer. He's a type of Christ, and that ends